A number of years ago, I was riding in an airport shuttle with a number of elderly gentlemen and elderly ladies, and they could tell I was a priest because of what I was wearing, and they started asking me all of these questions. One of the questions they asked was, well, do you do all the priest things? And I'm like, well, I think so. And they said, like, even like hearing confessions. And I said, absolutely, all the time. And this one woman just kind of gasped a little bit, and she said, oh, that would just be the worst. She said, it would make me so sad to hear about people's sins all day. And I told her that it was exactly the opposite of that. That my experience of being the priest in confession has revealed to me that confession is one of the most joyful, humbling, and inspiring places in the world. Because if you could see what I see in confession, you would realize this. First, what I get to see in every confession is I get to see the costly mercy of God in action. There are so many people who go through their entire lives and they've never encountered the reality of God's love that He gave to us through the cross. But in confession, I see people who are discouraged, who are lifted up. I see people who are wounded, who are healed. I see people who are lost, who are found. And I get to see that every single day. The second thing I get to see in confession is I get to see people who are trying. You know, whenever someone walks through that confessional door, I don't care if this was their third confession this week, I see someone who has not given up. And it is so encouraging. It is so inspiring. It's not a place of discouragement. It's not a place of failure. You know, sin is the place of failure. But going into confession and saying, I'm not going to give up on the God who won't give up on me, that's a place of victory. And again, I get to see that every day. I know there's things that people are afraid of, though. You know, I've heard the questions, Father, do you remember what people say in confession? And the short answer is basically no. Why? Well, I think for most people, we think the sins are fascinating. We think that sins are the things that you might dream about or just you kind of fantasize about. But the truth is, you as a human being, you are fascinating. You as a human being, you are part of God's masterpiece. Sins are not part of God's masterpiece. Sins are boring, right? They're all the same. Sins are basically garbage. And if sins are garbage, then priests are basically God's garbage men. Now, when was the last time you ever saw a garbage man going through the garbage and pulling out garbage as if it was fascinating to him? It's not fascinating because he realizes, no, this is just garbage. When someone comes to confession, I don't remember the garbage. I remember the power of God. I remember the God who loves them. I remember the person who didn't give up. That's what I see. And truthfully, the third thing I see is my own soul, my own heart. I can't tell you how often I am absolutely humbled when I hear someone come to confession and they recognize something in their life that I have never recognized in mine, but it's there. And it's just really amazing and, as I said, humbling examination of conscience because it reveals my heart. It reveals the heart of a priest. When I first got ordained, the next day, my family kind of threw a little party for me at my parents' place. My dad got up in the midst of all family and friends. And he had been a surgeon for his whole life, and he gave a little speech. He said, as a doctor, with these hands, I have saved lives and I have healed bodies. And then he said, but my son, Father Michael, with his hands, he will save lives. And with his hands, he won't heal bodies, he will heal souls. And then he said, I believe my son will save more lives than I ever have. In confession, the only thing the priest offers is that real love of God, is the real mercy of God. In fact, that's whenever someone comes to confession, that's all I have to give. The life-changing and life-resurrecting power of Jesus. And that's why it reveals the priest's heart. Because all he can give there, all he has to offer there is mercy. Years and years ago, long before I went into seminary, I went to confession for the first time in a long time. And this was after a lot of life spent away from God and a lot of life spent away from reconciliation. And I laid it all out, and I just kind of dumped out all the sins. And at the end of it, the priest gave me my penance, right? What I'm supposed to do now. And he said, I just want you to pray one Hail Mary. And I thought, Father, did you hear everything I said? And he said, no, I heard it all. And he paused, and then he said, but I want you to know that I'll be fasting for you for the next 30 days. I was just blown away. He was like, no, you're the sinner. Jesus, he is the one who paid the price. I just want you to pray one prayer. But he saw himself, he realized, he knew the truth, that as the priest, he's supposed to join his sufferings, his pain, his penances to Jesus's on the cross. In fact, the Catechism teaches that every priest who hears confessions must do penance for those who come to him. Why? Because again, confession reveals the priest's heart. And it reveals to me, it reveals me to me. It reveals whether I'm the kind of priest who's willing to offer up my wounds and my sufferings with the wounds and the saving sufferings of Jesus. This is one of the reasons why, these are a bunch of the reasons why confession is one of the most joyful and humbling and inspiring places on the face of the earth. And why I'm so grateful to the Lord that he has called me to be a priest so I can be part of this sacrament. Because this is where God wins his children back. Confession is a place of victory. Confession is a place of victory, and I don't care whether this is a person's first time they've ever confessed this particular sin, or there are 12,001 times they've confessed this particular sin. Every time they go to confession, it is a win for Jesus. And as a priest, I get to sit there, and I get to be a part of, I get to watch, I get to see God winning his children back every single day.